And I'm Shay.
Geek Down on Disrupt Boston. I'm waiting for the cue. Because usually you got the music coming in and I feel like partying on the side of me. Yeah, no, I'm going to stop doing that. It's a little too Spike Lee. I'll explain what that means in a minute. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geek Down. I am Pat B. On the side of me is a face we haven't seen in a long, long time. Where have you been hiding, you recluse?
I've been hiding nowhere. You just don't call me.
I call you all the time. How dare you? Okay, we have a whole Facebook group just for emergencies as such.
It's like I'm over here like Prince. Like, why don't you call me?
Nah, I'm pulling you off
anymore?
The bench like a six-man. Just, come on, get in the game. Got things to do. Good things to review, awesome things to bring to you. You see what I did there?
Oh, well, yeah. I'm happy to be your sixth man today.
What? Why are you saying it all disdainful? This is the Geek Down here on Disrupt Boston. If you're unfamiliar with the show, this is an entertainment news show program, however you want to call it, podcast, radio, broadcast, podcast. It's like the actual meaning of all of these further into a documentary series, and I'm liking this.
Dude, I remember seeing the trailer, and the trailer like grabbed me right away, and I'm like, man, I've got to watch this.
I'm a little upset that you didn't, find a way to make the time, or find a neighbor who has actually shake them down and say, look,
this is 2019. We don't talk to our neighbors anymore.
Nah, that's true. I'm living like 1956. Excuse me, can I borrow some sugar? Put the gun down.
I think the Sam Cooke one got you.
You
thinking about people going over each other's houses and going to watch that one TV. Like that's where you are right now, and that's not
neighborhood. We say that though, but we did live in an age where everyone had their own home system and such, but everyone had rabbit ears, and you all find a way to make friends with the one fool in the neighborhood who had that big ass satellite dish in their yard,
or people like me who had both A and B sides of cable.
A word? Damn, look at you, high roller. Okay, well, we'll get to that in just a little bit. Also, we have the two killings of Sam Cooke. This is part of Netflix's remastered series, where they look at different historical figures and artistic figures and give a breakdown of their importance, their life, different tidbits you may not have known, and look at it from a different approach. So everyone knows Sam Cooke as a musician. This looked at him as an activist. This looked at him as not a protege, but a friend and someone who was deeply involved in the machinations, if you will, of Malcolm X. This was news to me.
You know what? It was news to me too, but it doesn't surprise me because I have seen photos of people like Sam Cooke in especially Muhammad Ali's company back in the day, and a lot of those people moved in the same circles. Like Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali had a close relationship, and so other black entertainers who wanted to be mobile in the civil rights movement, those were people that you went and talked to.
Well, it's like the way that they approached that was, we're serious activists and we're about real things and we're bringing you knowledge about how you're being oppressed, and it always gets extra dark. But when cats like Sam Cooke, when cats like Jim Brown, when cats like Muhammad Ali get involved in it, it comes with an air of it's processable. This is medicine I can take.
Yeah.
Because it comes with that spoonful of sugar of the personality behind it. And that's one of the things that always kind of turn me off with serious political fare. It's I want to know all this stuff. This is important business, but it's also boring, or it's depressing.
There's no flavor to the message, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you got to sell the sizzle just a little bit, and the music is Sam Cooke.
Difference between people who are motivators, people who are movers, the people who inspired folks to, much like Sam Cooke himself said, stand up and be counted. people who are at heart really leaders. And to be fair, community-wise, we haven't had any of those in a long time. And I mean, like, in not just like the black community, but just anywhere. It's been a long time since we've had like a real like hardcore leader that made everyone believe, you know?
Excuse me, are you forgetting my boy Tekashi 6ix9ine? I bring him back. Can't even get it out.
Can't even finish the sentence.
All right, now I wasn't gonna say someone real like Kendrick Lamar or something, but that was just
I mean, that would have stopped the laughter at least.
Yeah. Nah, we have seen a few of those though. I think it just takes new form from what we've come to expect over the years. Like back in our day, if it was gonna be rap, it'd be someone like KRS-One. You know, someone who every song is a message. You need to education's important,
and to
unity's important, your people's important,
and at least somewhat good and coherent.
Yeah.
Every time.
Okay, I'm not, some designers suck. Anyways,
we know he sucks, that's okay.
Yeah, but it's just like, no, and that's the thing, it's just like, it comes in different forms, and it's always come in different forms as the two killings of Sam Cooke displays in a really interesting manner. We'll get into that in also just a little bit. But finally, we also have, I'm a fan of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Well, yeah.
I know you're a fan of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
How do you not like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? Like, he's legit one of the most likable people in Hollywood. Like,
I'm hoping that
general.
he doesn't have a basement full of like torsos.
I know, right?
Because it's always something, you know. And it's like years later we'll find out. I feel like the worst we'll find out about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is that he tried to take a puppy to the vet that wasn't his, you know?
Because he saw it had a limp.
Yeah, something like that, you know, without the owner's permission.
Right.
You know, it's just like, you know, oh, come on, I can't be doing scofflaw, this, you know, hardened criminal, this.
Right. Like,
I'm hoping. Let me not speak too out of turn. I thought OJ was a nice guy too.
Like, I love thinking back that when he first appeared in wrestling, he was a bad guy. Like, remember? He used to be a bad guy.
Well, he was a good guy, then he was a bad guy. But here's what's messed up. When they made him a bad guy, he started hanging out with the blacks. That's how they made him a bad guy. I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, that is kind of racist.
Yeah. Wait, you didn't. Wait, did I just drop some stuff on you? You didn't know that? You didn't follow that? Oh,
But now when I think about it, I was like, oh, during that time frame, all the bad guys were black and or Mexican.
Yeah. They had the NWO. And they had the Nation of Domination. They had the Nation of Domination, where these cats came in kind of like the Nation of Islam, and they were terrorizing
like Booker T was part of.
No, this was before then.
Oh, okay.
So this was before then.
So you see how far back it goes for me.
Yeah, but this was cats from like WCW that started. They came to WWF, and it was set up as, well, you know, these angry black folks that we got an influx of. They got to take over.
Yeah.
And it really played to that middle America. Yeah, this has nothing to do with the movie and nothing to do with Dwayne Johnson.
It all comes back to it, doesn't it?
It kind of does. Yo, you know what? No, he's come a long way since then. This was a good 20 plus years back. This was when he had that weird ass hairline. And we all clowned him. Now, as a bald man, he looks good. And I'm going to say that out loud because I'm pretty sure if he walks in that door right now, he's going to like flick me in the back of the head, and my head's going to fly clean off, and this will be the last Geek Down ever. You know,
I love that. Like,
we are friends, okay?
He kind of, so part of me feels like he kind of flew by on folks mostly because he was racially ambiguous. Like, no one knew what he was. They're like, he could be, or he couldn't.
Yeah. No,
or if you tilt your head this way.
Yeah, you gotta squint. You gotta squint a little. You gotta make sure you can.
Trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's like solving a magic eye painting.
I used to know a kid who swore up and down that he was just a really dark Italian, and I was like,
he could have been.
He could be.
I can see it.
But I feel like, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, I feel like maybe you're projecting though.
Oh,
you want him to be.
What the Italian dude?
Yeah.
Okay, you got him. No, actually, for a long time, I thought he was slick, and it kind of was, it kind of wasn't. I thought he was slick, and he was a really tanned Asian dude who managed to make like the rest work. It's just like, you know what? Yeah, I see it because you know what? I hold my thumb up to the screen, and yeah, I can kind of, you know. And no, he's Samoan. Actually,
a bunch of stuff apparently.
Well, okay, yeah, the mix there. The primary was Samoan, and he's part of the same wrestling family that Roman Reigns comes from,
Yeah,
that
like-
Yokozuna came from, that Superfly Jimmy Snuka came from.
Yeah, I think
Mind you,
he's,
right
like,
there,
part-
that is supposedly 4 different ethnicities
I know. He's
in
like,
the same family because they're all one. That's just that ambiguous.
Yes.
Well, you know, but
Like-
play it well. Love you all. Don't sit on me.
you know what sold it for me is when he appeared on the cover of Essence magazine. I was like, oh, so he's black.
No, that's honorary black. He had, you know, he ain't coming to the meetings. He just gets a newsletter every now and then.
He wings nods us all the time. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, see, someone back there agrees with you.
Exactly.
All right, so let's jump right into this good fare we have. I feel like the intro's going a little long. And,
Let's
dude,
go.
I want to talk about this documentary series. So, okay, I say series because I really wanted to go beyond the one. But as of right now, it's just one documentary. It's horror noir, and it's only available on Shudder. And I think that's a major injustice because I want to give Shudder all, you know what's due. But this was dope. Like, you want to share this with the world.
Like, I probably would have watched it the moment I saw the trailer if it was available on any other platform. Because, like, I mean, like most people, I have, like, Netflix and Hulu and whatnot directly on my phone and on my laptop and on my PlayStation.
It's multi-platform.
So I could have just, boom, hit a button, been there. I'm like, heck, dude from used to be on the Daily Show. He has that
Jon Stewart?
No.
Fred Kilborn.
No. He recently left. He has that new show on Netflix.
Michael Che.
No.
Yo, how many folks left the Netflix? I left the Daily Show.
No. Hassan. Oh, what's his last name?
Chop.
No. Minaj?
All right, well, okay, Menage a Trois. Yeah. He got a new show. Yeah.
Yeah, like that simultaneously plays on Netflix, but it also posts on YouTube when new episodes come out. And I was like, YouTube is almost always open. So I'm like, oh, I can just watch it here.
Yeah, you know, a lot of folks.
And a lot of times, more episodes I've
Look up my
watched.
second show, Geek Down After Dark, on YouTube Red.
Yeah, I've
We'll have
watched
that
more
afterwards.
episodes there than I have on Netflix, and it's just funny. And I'm
A lot of
just
YouTube Red to you?
just regular YouTube because I'm too cheap to pay for it.
All right, no.
But yeah, I'm like, man, I wish it was, but I get it. Shudder's still a small channel, so it's not gonna be on so many other platforms. But I wish it was. I hope it grows and it'll be on other platforms. Because man, I really wish that had been readily available to me when I wanted to watch it.
Yeah, you know, I'm hurt you too. I'm about to crush you right now because it was dope. It was worth every cent spent.
Probably go home
It
and
was
watch
worth
it.
the effort to find, to track down everything. And I looked at all the other things that Shudder has available right now, and this might be that one, like, you know, golden nugget in the mountain of crap.
Oh yeah.
I won't say crap. They have some decent horror flicks, but it's like none of it is their original
Horror
content.
movies are funny that way. Like horror movies are either very good or they're very bad.
Yes.
There's very little in the middle.
Yeah, that's how they get you though.
It's like they're good or they're bad. But if they're comically bad, I can deal. I like funny bad horror movies. Like I watched like B and C level horror movies like that used to play like on like Saturday morning, well like Saturday afternoon TV and on Sunday afternoons back in the day, like after the cartoons went off. Or I would stay up and catch those like.
Well, yeah,
like
you lucked out. It
Spin
was
Wooly
that,
and
it was
stuff
that
like
or
that.
golf. Okay,
Yeah.
and not appearing to 8 and 9
Like,
year olds.
I still to this day love this movie, and it's legit about a bunch of people going to buy property on this island, and apparently they did nuclear testing there, and all the ants have grown to enormous size.
Ah, them.
No,
Yes.
it's not
Wait,
them.
not them?
It is not them.
Alien
There is
Fruits?
another atomic ant movie.
Wait, how many? Okay, well, what was it called then? Don't leave me in
I'm
suspense.
trying to remember. Oh crap! It might just be called Ant. Like it's a seriously old B movie. This had to have come out in like
I feel like-
70s at the earliest.
I feel like I've seen this because I was passing around clips of a movie that I thought was them.
it's not.
years ago.
And I think I made
And-
the same mistake when I watched it. And I was like, is this them? And I was like, no, this isn't as old as them.
Okay, it's the one with like the ants flailing around the army dudes and such, right?
No, there aren't army dudes. It gets
No
to a
army
point
dudes.
where there gets to a point close to the end where essentially all they have to ward the ants off is fire, and like they have this one fire going, and they have to keep the fire going to keep the ants away.
Okay, the one I'm thinking
And
of,
if the fire goes out, they'll all die because the ants will eat them.
Of course, yeah, because I mean that's how ants will spoil your
But
picnic.
it's a
That's how it
terrible
goes down.
movie. Objectively, it's a bad movie, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, no, you find a lot of those, and that's where horror tends to like fall in, and that's one of the things we like tend to. That's one of the things that tends to. I want to say temper. I feel like that's wrong. It waters down the effect for us. So we don't notice a lot of the horrible things that come through in horror, but we also don't notice a lot of the other subtext in there. One of the running tropes in horror movies has been a lack of effective black folks used in any storylines, except for maybe a plot device or like the quirky friend. They're gonna teach you how to dance. They're gonna sacrifice themselves for you. They're the tough ones that need to represent, so that when the monster kills them, you know, oh, I guess this is serious business.
Well, I mean, there are two really good reasons why there aren't black people like in any real substantial role in horror movies.
Reagan and Trump?
No. Well, first it was the Hays Code. The Hays Code really didn't allow for black people to do anything in movies really other than being servants and slaves. Like, that was just what the Hays Code did. That Hollywood decided to censor itself, and so it did so in a way that kind of screwed everybody that was not white. But, and then past that, horror movies, and considering it's like, okay, like you have the Hollywood complex at that point is overwhelmingly white, and there's nothing else. No, there is, but anybody else is so small that they're barely a blip on the screen. Because there have been black-made movies since like the 1920s.
There have been, but have there been good represented?
No, not at all. And again, the Hays Code.
Emphasize that, please.
The Hays Code helped enforce that because they did not allow for interracial relationships.
See, and what was that about, man? People love us. They want us to get down.
It was considered immoral at the time. The Hays Code came out in the 1940s. So
cats like J. Edgar Hoover. If you can't swing it, we now know there were other
I love
factors
that he
at
was
play.
paranoid, xenophobe, but he also liked to wear women's underwear in his spare time.
It just, I mean, come on, man. You got to be true to you. You got to be true to you by letting us be true to us.
So then the other thing, horror movies tend to be outlets for white fear. Like, in general, since Hollywood was overwhelmingly white, the only people whose stories were being told were white people. So, yeah, it brought up their fears of the time. It's like the alien invasion movies, like, in the 50s and things. Like, those were, like, early, like, war fears. Also, creature features were all about like nuclear war fears, like stuff like that.
I get what you're saying. The thing about
it is the thing that kept. It's always the things that keep Middle America awake at night.
Yeah, but for a long time, that was a people. That was us. That was the folks that y'all ancestors brought here to do work against their will, and then just, I guess, out of sheer human decency, when y'all decided, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't treat people like cattle and like workhorses and like all types of stuff. I guess we gotta live with them, but I don't want them around my daughter or my people or my farm or my blank.
Legit, the state of Utah had a law against us living there.
Man, the whole concept of the Three-Fifths Compromise alone is just a testament to how ridiculous people can, how the lengths people can go to justify their own ridiculousness.
Well, I mean, it's like what James Baldwin said. It's not up to black people to quantify our existence. It's more that white people need to figure out why they needed, the N-word in the first place.
Well, before we get a little too deep in there, the premise of horror noir is all of this. The premise is a look at horror in film and how black folks, not just black folks, people of color in general, but more specifically black folks, because this had black actors and black directors to actually talk about that representation and that history. How that's played out over the years, throughout the entire history of film. The first few minutes talks about birth of a Nation, which is one of the it's the ultimate film.
That was nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, you know what's messed up? I still have conversations. I still have arguments.
Did it win?
With Black Adam. Yeah, don't come on. I still have arguments with Black Adam Willis, co-host on this show, about how BS it was that I had to study that in film school. And he's like, well, it holds a heralded place and
No. I understand why you would study that in film school. Like, it totally makes sense. But it was a huge movie in its time, and it really did set a certain precedent in Hollywood for how a movie would be made.
I know the innovation that was done during that production. I know that the things that it's the same justification that no one will bring up. It's the same justification for how the science the scientific knowledge that was gained from Nazi experiments on prisoners in concentration camps is a benefit. You will find.
Well, I mean, U.S. benefited from it greatly.
I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying acknowledge that it's screwed up.
No,
there are people that won't. It's the same thing.
That's the thing. That's the conversation.
And no one's teaching me how to inject blue dye into an eyeball of somebody.
But that's the thing. Like, that's the hard conversation that always needs to be had. Yeah, there are things that we enjoy and things that we have benefited from over the years that come from essentially bad people. Look at freaking cereal. If you look up Kellogg's, you will find out terrible things.
I don't want to do that because I know the history of cornflakes itself.
No.
And graham crackers.
Yeah,
I don't need to delve any deeper.
Look into Mr. Kellogg a little bit, and you'll be
I'm good. All right.
Exactly.
Died.
It might affect how you enjoy your cornflakes, is all I'm saying. But it's perspective that's important, that you need to understand why this is jacked up and why this had happened, why we benefit from it, and not to forget that. But it's kind of hard to stop a wheel that's already spinning,
No, you're absolutely right.
Like things that we benefit, like nobody's going to check out their microwaves tomorrow if you found out that, terrible experiments led to the creation of the microwave.
You are reveling in just this random, horrible knowledge that you are able to share, like, rampantly, aren't you?
Yeah. Look, we can't get people to stop listening to R. Kelly music. Like, so you want people to be, like, socially conscious about everything that they consume. It's going to be really difficult.
All right, no, I feel you. And we've gotten a little off the point of this. What I'm getting at is this documentary covers all that and then some. It's like, notice how we just had like a 5-minute conversation because the tangent itself just got so heated. And Horror Noir has this on like the film, and they're giving you history, and they're taught out what was good and what was bad, and the influences that brought this to us and then suppressed us. The President of the United States went on record as saying things like Birth of a Nation are some of the best representation of the Negroes today, and the problem is becoming an epidemic. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
An epidemic of people? And as the films would go on, it wasn't just like people in blackface, because they also addressed, and I love the fact that they said this, even though it was horrible and sucked. No one ever does. The fact that there were black people in these movies was a double-edged sword, because yes, it was horrible, but this was also the only way for a lot of black folks to get work, black actors, and this was as horrible as it was, as a thing to exist, their avenue into successful professional careers, and because they were able to do that, we would eventually get folks like Oscar Micheaux, the first prominent black filmmaker who made movies that weren't all about, the Negroes, what they gotta say. It was like, no, actually showing them in positive roles.
A funny thing I always feel like people always forget, like, I know people always go, like, the black person always dies first, but you know what? One of the very first, like, zombie movies, right? The very first one.
I know what you're about to say.
The black guy doesn't die first. Matter of fact, he dies last. And he doesn't even get killed by the zombies.
Yeah. Can you guess who did kill him, folks? Yeah, there was a little bit of a rosé hue on their necks.
That had a weird, like, can I just say that scene has a real weird semblance with, like, today in general?
Yes, you can. Lay it out there. We're talking, of course, about Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, like, the hero of Dawn of the Dead is a black man. Because it's funny, because he's the only one prepared for when the zombies come. But then again, when you see his neighbors, you understand why.
It's like, I just want to let him in for a second.
Like, yeah, exactly, because he already had to live
Zombie,
his life.
You know what? I need to check see if it's still daylight outside.
Yeah, he lived his life in paranoia anyway, being like one of the few black people in the community. And it's not the zombies that get him. And sorry for spoiler alert for over a 40-year-old movie.
1968. Okay, if they haven't seen it by now, that is not your fault.
Is that he gets killed by some random white hillbillies after pretty much the epidemic is over.
Yeah,
the zombies are gone. As soon as he tries to leave his house, once the sun comes up, he gets shot.
He's still here. Got him. All right. Well, one thing I also want to point out is this. They go out of their way to talk about not everything. You can't talk about everything, but they talk about so much that I wasn't ready to hear. And I'm not like, I don't agree with that. I'm talking about stuff that I've been hard pressed to find people who will take seriously enough to have a discussion. Things like blaxploitation, things like Blackula, and I've always thought Blackula was kind of a corny movie and things. And
I always thought Blackula was
corny, but then again, because I was always into other genres, so it's like, I've seen this done crazy. And then
I grew up watching blaxploitation movies because my mom
like the kung fu action.
Like my mom loves B movies. Like I can't even articulate. Like I grew up watching Hong Kong kaiju, Hong Kong and Japan kaiju movies and kung fu movies and lots of genre movies with my mom. Like she loves sci-fi. Another area where we are very underrepresented.
Yes, indeed. I even spoke on a panel about this very thing 2 weeks ago at the Boston Sci-Fi Film Festival.
She was a huge Trekkie.
Check it out, y'all.
Like she's a big Trekkie nerd. These are the kind of things I watched as a child.
They talk about that. They talk about the comparison between the black folks in non-black horror movies and the red shirt phenomenon. It's just like, okay, how does that play out? Well, you see a lot of similarities because you can't kill Kirk. You can't kill the hero in the leather jacket and the shotgun there. So who do you kill? You kill his comic black foil, who's the one who's going to look through a door at the wrong time, Or he's going to be the one who's going to crack a couple jokes so you like him, so that he's going to fall down and get attacked. So it's like, we know the threat is starting.
I always thought it was hilarious because in real life, that would never be the case. You would not have one lone black person with a group of white folks, and they tell the black person, look around the corner. Black folks will look at them like, you look around the corner.
Token is too valuable. You don't have a radio or something, at some point.
I'm gonna stay right here because they didn't get me first.
But they had everyone they had the dude who directed Blackula. They had Rusty Cunniff.
I would definitely love to hear the dude who directed Blackula.
Oh, Blackula was set up as that cat he was Shakespearean. He was knowledgeable. The whole thing is we consider vampires as some of them are bloodthirsty and they're feral and they just want to grab the nearest thing and suck all the blood out. And this dude was educated. He had stories, he had history, and he used all that.
I never realized Blackula was supposed to be an African prince. I was like, snap, check it out.
And the Scream, Blackula Scream that really went into the lore of that. I'm just like, damn, there's lore? There was a lot of other things that were planned that never quite panned out because there's a limited amount of resources in those types of movies, which is a bummer. But they break all this down in horror noir, and I like that they took the different eras into account. So the same kind of movie you can do that was like proud, fair in the 70s wasn't the same kind of movie you would see in the 80s, and also something you couldn't really do. But when you try to do them, you get corny figures like, I'm gonna beat these zombies with breakdancing, some random stuff,
Yeah.
It's just like you see the comparison of the evolution with the decline as well. The evolution of the quality of movies that we got, the quality of writing that we got, the quality of roles that were present, and the quantity of roles for black actors with the decline of how they were represented. Oddly enough, the most of the ones you found were in like the early 1900s had black folks featured everywhere because they were like the main focus. Yes, they were horrible villains and things, but they had like the most black actors versus by the time you reach the late 70s, the 80s, and the early 90s, it's like all these movies have like the one or two black actors in this whole cast. And they're treated with a little more respect, but those numbers have dwindled and there's less roles for actors, less roles for directors, producers of color. And it's just like,
because it comes in waves, because there'll be a point where you see a lot of representation and then everybody gets gets like all comfortable and they're like, okay, we're post-racial now, let's move on.
Yeah.
And then it declines, because that's the thing about representation. If you don't consistently fight for it, it will go away.
Well, it doesn't always go away on its own. One of the things that also they brought up, which was ballsy, because we know this, y'all know this, but no one really says this, or at least no one said it back then, is one of the main reasons that black folk today in America are in such a bad position is because of the policies put in place by Ronald Reagan.
Oh yeah.
And they go in hard on this and say,
Right.
okay, so we were starting to make headway, and then this man publicly painting black folks as a figure laid a lot of ground, just made headway for a lot of old stereotypes to come back into play, for a lot of old fears to become prominent in society again, and it kind of mirrors the government that's running the country now.
As much as I have to hear every freaking year when that man's birthday comes around, how he was like the best president ever from every Republican I've ever met, and I always go, but even his vice president said that his economics plan was terrible.
Yeah,
like,
those movies weren't even good.
Like, no, he wasn't that good of an actor.
No, wasn't that good of an actor.
That's why
I'm saying Uwe Boll wasn't that good.
And
of
you
a
know
movie
what?
director.
It was his wife that was the driving force to get him into politics. If had it been a different time, Nancy would have went into politics, not him. Like, she was the driving force. She was the one with all the personality that pushed him in the front. Like, it was her.
So she was the one that was really hating on black folks, and he was just there with his homeboys, like, you know, man, I gotta do what the lady says, you know.
People can say what they want.
I'm too because I'm white and Ronald Reagan.
Honestly,
Ronald Reagan
I
impression,
really
what do you think?
believe that he already had early onset Alzheimer's before he left the White House. Like,
So when he was talking about mommy, he was really talking about Nancy.
possibly.
Mommy said hate the blacks. What about the Jews? Hate them too.
Like, so his mind kind of went pretty early. So yeah, no, Nancy was the driving force. And the Republican Party is ultra conservative, and it became even more so after the Civil Rights Movement. Because remember, the Republican Party was mostly working class up until that point.
Very true. And a lot of that's reflected in horror noir. Dude,
Yeah.
they covered all types of points, and one of the things that we kind of glossed over, we're starting to run long, so let me just break it down real quick. They have the people that were there talking about this stuff, not just folks that have been studying forever, not just people on, radio shows and podcasts that are talking about them with opinions,
like us.
but people that were, but folks that were there. They have commentary, and they have discussion with Tony Todd. They have discussion with Keith David. They have discussion, Rachel True in the sucker. Paula Jai Parker. They didn't get David Allen Greer, and I forget, and people forget that he played a serious role in Tales from the Hood, known for being a comic. This dude.
Rachel True, that is the only really good female empowered horror movies that I like.
You think? Because they mentioned one I actually hadn't seen. It's more recent. I'll break it down for you after.
I was surprised there was a black girl at all in The Craft, to be honest.
Was it gonna be?
I know
Was
she
not going
wasn't.
to be.
And this is what always bothers me as far as Hollywood script writing. Like, the character has to be written black, and it's like, why? Why can't you just cast the actor that fits the role best? Like Saved by the Bell, Lisa Turtle was supposed to be Jewish, but Lark Voorhees came in. They were like, we really like her, and they gave it to her. Like, why doesn't that happen more often? Is all I'm saying.
No, that is what's up. And I love that concept. The whole thing is that's how we've gotten a lot of our black heroes kind of by accident.
Yes.
You
Heck,
know?
female heroes too. Like, Aliens, Ripley was not written as a woman. Matter of fact, that's why all the characters are referred to by their last names, because they only wrote their last names down. They gave them no first names because they didn't want to have any bias on how they were casting them.
One of my favorites, Candyman. Wasn't a story about racism, wasn't a story about, this horrible thing that happens to this young black kid who just got caught in a bad situation. Actually, it was about classism, not racism. Written by a British dude.
Yes, because classism is way more prevalent than racism. Racism piggybacks on classism. Like, people.
But the thing we have thanks for that is Tony Todd, who was just the presence.
Oh my God,
The man
he's so
speaks
like
with such authority.
that man.
And he's got that bass that he lets you know
He can be deeply frightening when he wants to be.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And
like,
that movie scared the hell out of me. It still does to this day.
He's one of those villains who can whisper in your ear. Like
I don't know. You don't think Pennywise could do that?
No, nobody wants to do.
But I mean, like, things creep me out.
Like,
but
I mean, like, he's one of those villains that can talk quietly, and you're still just as terrified as you would have been if he came out and yelled "boo." You know?
Oh yeah, but I mean, that's not. I mean, that's just natural talent. They got the voice.
Well, yeah.
Excuse me, you dropped your keys.
I'm scared.
Can you tell me where the bus stop is?
I don't know. Don't kill me.
I see a little silhouette over man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche. Will you do the fandango?
I'll give you a mango if you go away.
Oh, wait. Okay, all right. All right. Well, it's called Horror Noir. It's on Shudder and only on Shudder, which is kind of disappointing because, dude, they had all these folks from movies I love and have forgotten about over the years. So, Miguel Nunez.
So what we're telling you is to go get a Shudder membership right now and watch all the terrible horror movies that you love.
Yeah, Shudder, if you're listening up and looking for a sponsorship.
Yeah. See, we plugged you.
Yeah. All right. Dude, Horror Noir, no, you watching this. We watching this after. Yeah, checking it out. But yeah, now let's talk about, still on the documentary tip, because this whole show is about bios, bio. We dropping so much knowledge on you. And next up, dude, The Two Killings of Sam Cooke is Netflix's look at not just Sam Cooke the musician, but Sam Cooke the activist. And this is something I wasn't ready for. Because I was thinking it was going to be like one of those, the deep mystery, like an A.J. Benza, Hollywood mysteries and scandals type thing. You didn't know this about Sam Cooke, but he also, played polka music, or it's like any random thing.
Oh man, legit do love Sam Cooke's music.
Well, break it down for us, man. Tell us about Sam Cooke.
Well, I grew up listening to him because my mom had an extensive record collection growing up, so she had lots of Motown and Stevie Wonder, Jackson 5, Smokey Robinson, Shaka Khan. Yeah, and Rufus. Sam Cooke was definitely one of people that I grew up listening to, and so I'm watching the documentary and just the music just taking me back all of a sudden. I'm a child again, and I'm sitting in the kitchen. My mom's making dinner. I'm like, yay! It's just the kind of music that takes you back.
No, it definitely is. I feel you, but then again, you can't help it. It's old. Now, one of the things that this also emphasized is, yes, he was a popular musician. I didn't know his origins. I didn't know where he went in life. All I knew was those records, because who in this day and age is thinking of Sam Cooke? But this cat was poignant.
Yeah. Well, see, he grew up with so many other big legends. He touched fingertips to so many people.
Yeah, Jackie Wilson.
Aretha Franklin. You
mentioned right there, Smokey Robinson was one of the main voices in this documentary, talking about.
And can Smokey stop? Can he start aging again? Because he seems to have stopped.
Nah, we can't do that. Because I'm a little too hurt after losing Mr. Rogers and Stan Lee and stuff. I want somebody to laugh. I need someone who's gonna last a while.
It's
Smokey Robinson's
oh my God,
he's 85, pushing 26.
I felt so shot through the heart when Smokey Robinson was talking. He mentions Aretha Franklin and saying that she's one of his oldest friends still living, and I go,
and yes.
And I'm like, my heart.
Right here, I'm just.
My heart.
Oh, when did they shoot this, y'all? Where's y'all editor? Y'all editors fired.
Why is every documentary I watch talk about somebody and then there's at least one person who's passed away right before the documentary came out?
Hey, that's how it's done, man.
I can't.
I went to see the Parliament Funkadelic documentary, and two of them had died between the filming and the live appearance that they made for the documentary. So it's I was there ready to meet some members of Parliament, and they passed away before they had the show. I bought my ticket; they were alive. I went to the show; they were gone.
Yeah, wasn't there recently a documentary about Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Yeah, because what's his name passed away.
Yeah, the lead singer.
Okay, let's not talk about folks that died. Let's talk about Sam Cooke, who died.
I know, right?
Yeah. Okay, but no, you're right. Those are a lot of good points. And at the time, he was prominent. There was also so many other figures that
he was the person who was ahead of them though. So it makes you wonder.
That was one thing I didn't know.
What would have happened? Because not only was he a great singer, but he was a beautiful songwriter as well. like so many other people have been singing his songs.
Yeah, but brothers weren't getting credit for like, being the actual producers of their music, writing the music, writing the lyrics, actually putting it all together, being a business-minded person behind it all. He did, you're right.
And he was one of the early few who did. And because I get it. You give a person nothing, and so they're happy when you hand them a piece of bread. So it takes a lot for a person to say no. I want a whole. I want the whole damn sandwich. Like.
I'm sorry. That's a beautiful metaphor, and I stepped on it. My bad. No, you made a good metaphor, and I stepped on it.
Yes,
my bad.
But yeah, like he was one of those who stood up and was like, no, I want to own my music. Like no, I want to be in control of I don't want other people just taking my music and re-recording. I'm like, no, this is mine. And there were only a handful of people who had enough. I kind of want to use the word swag right now. Who had enough
juice, clout.
Yeah, who were gonna during that time be like, hey, I want, because there were only so many record producers who were willing to do that for any artist, let alone a black artist. So.
You can't record that here, boy. You got to go down to the Negro label and let them do the little things that you do.
Like, yeah.
What is in gospel? Nah, soul. So you're singing gospel, right?
Same difference.
Man, these cats just didn't know. And the whole thing is, he came from that world and he expanded beyond, and it was almost religion that kept him back. Because everyone's like, well, you can't be singing about these sinful songs, boy. You gotta do this. It's like, had he followed that advice, we never would have had the worldwide effect.
It's either you sing God's music or the devil's music. You make a decision.
Why they gotta make a decision, man? I mean, sometimes
because black folks always gotta make a decision between the two.
I don't care what they say. Okay, I'm still listening to my Hoka records all day. I got my squeeze box and everything called Concertina. Sam Cooke was one of the first black owners of his own record label. He was one of the first people to make that transition from artist to prominent, very public activist, and still like have a successful career afterwards. And it mentioned how he was rubbing elbows with Malcolm X. Muhammad Ali was his boy. One of my favorite scenes in the documentary is when Ali just won the fights again. Not the Joe Frazier fight, but damn it, I want to say like Leon Spinks, but don't quote me on that. But he just won the championship, and then he pulls up. He's like, lift that man up. That man right there is one of the greatest entertainers in the world. That's my friend Sam Cooke, and he pulls him up, and he's really there. And it told a positive message about fighting toxic masculinity in the black community. Like my whole life is like, nah, man, you can't be too close friends with these dudes, man. That's some gay stuff. You better be all off there. It's it's like I always thought, you dudes just can't be friends, and that's a toxic thing that's permeated ages. Back in the '60s, these cats were bucking that trend, and it's not just like any random cats. This is Muhammad Ali. Who's gonna walk up to his face, call him a sissy, bust ass? Jim Brown slayed himself from "I'm gonna get you, sucker." Okay, you seen Original Gangsters? My man had the...
Oh my God, that was so funny.
But what I'm getting at is one of the baddest dudes ever. One of the most hardcore dudes ever. And this was Sam's voice. Sam brought all this to light.
Jim Brown people went to talk to Richard Pryor after set himself on fire at the time.
What did he say? You can't just throw that out there.
Well, was it after the freebasing incident or was it before? He came to one of essentially he came to one of his what do they call it when?
What?
When you confront a drug addict.
Oh, intervention.
There you go. He went to one of his I say one of because
Yeah, no, I know. Well, surprised me I figure absent from this. But I learned so much about Sam Cooke that was more than the music, and I'm upset that I never got to know, his influence. When it was a little more relevant. When I was still coming up and learning about all these black entertainers. That shit. No, I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying when I was a little more fresh-faced and
when you first heard his music, you wish you knew more about who he was.
Yeah, I'm over there gigging it. It's like it's a song about black oppression. I'm just there. It's a jam.
I mean, to be fair, yes. But there are a lot of artists like him, like either who had lives that were cut short or they truly were talented, had something to say. And a lot of times we don't know anything about them. And yeah, no, and it's good. Like, they mentioned Nia Simone and the thing, and I was like, man, I hope they do this for her too.
Dionne Warwick was a surprise to see. You know, because I didn't realize that he had well so much influence in people who would become so big. You know,
So many,
Dionne Warwick
though.
is a name I've known for years, and I didn't know that Sam Cooke was one of the main reasons why she was able to get into places that the performers weren't getting into. That she was able to have such an expansive career that she wasn't. That she wouldn't may not have. I'm not
Well,
gonna say
true.
may not have.
I mean, she
because
still-
he fought for her and he
She
represented.
still had like her connections, like her family was like, she came from a family of singers.
Well, who didn't? I come from a family of singers.
I mean, because
You come from a
isn't
family.
she
Y'all
Whitney
can't see it, but our
Houston's
producer Mike comes from a
Isn't she
family of
Whitney
singers.
Houston's cousin?
She is?
She's somebody's cousin.
Damn. Well, okay.
I
Well,
want to say it's Whitney Houston.
well, I hope she's taking showers then. What I want to get out before we run out of time on
Yeah, I know.
Sam Cooke. Yeah, I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. What I want to get out before we run out of time on Sam Cooke is the way he went out. And when they talk about the two killings, they talk about like the way his career rose to prominence and then became a little too affluent, a little too influential.
Yeah.
So that had to be snuffed out. And then
Of
his
course.
actual life itself. Like, the career rose to a certain point, and then he's hit, his money's hit, and then family tragedy hits all at once. Kind of kills the man himself. And then he starts living that life that you expect. And then the most unexpected force actually kills that final thing, actually kills his form. I didn't expect, mafia influence. Where the hell did that come from? He's not taking on like Frank Sinatra's, you know, he's not pulling any of that joy, you know, he's not you know, coming up on Sammy Davis like, look, man, you know, your hair's a little too slick back, you know, you got to wear it kinky, and the mob's like, and they set him up, and I didn't expect that at all.
I mean,
that's not really the way.
In that particular day and age, that wasn't exactly a thing that didn't happen a whole bunch.
I know, I've seen all those movies too, but I'm just like,
No,
where
it still
does that
sucks.
dip into?
Like there's something about seeing excellence snuffed out before it reaches like its zenith of potential, you know? Like, there's something about seeing somebody who is so excellent that somebody says they're dangerous.
Well, the story of the way he went out was extra tragic because, like, black folks that had a major hand in it. That's one thing that really affected me. And then when they talk about how one of his greatest recordings, the one from the square that you weren't able to hear for like another 10 plus years after his death, like that was, they made it a conspiracy where it didn't need to be.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing that it's like when you're not expecting to be hit with that bit of news. That's the thing that got me. Yeah, I highly recommend this documentary.
No, I agree. It's very good.
Both horror noir and the two killings of Sam Cooke. Boom, boom, boom.
Learn about your history.
Yeah, I do have a beef with it. We've been giving mostly positive reviews here, but I do have one beef with it, and that's that they mention like all this stuff happened, and they have pictures and they have accounts, but they never delve too deeply into it. I don't know if there was just so much to tell, or if they just like, within the time allotted, or if they just wanted to make sure they got every tidbit out and didn't worry about like delving deep in. Because they mentioned he influenced so and so. Okay, cool. How did he? Were there meetings? Were there collaborations in songs? They have so many pictures with him and Malcolm X just like in the same room, going back and forth. I'm like, that's a deep conversation. What was discussed there? What transpired? And
that
like
could
we
be
don't
a
have.
documentary all of itself.
I
though.
know, but I wanted a taste.
Like you could legit, my conversations with Malcolm, like that could be a legit documentary all by itself.
Yeah, but I want it. That's my beef with it, and I think there are worse things to complain
You
about.
tell those documentarians that they need to get on that.
I will. I know you're listening. You better,
Yes,
so
you're
improve.
listening now, right now, to
Okay,
our
well,
critique on
Make me take off my belt now.
your documentary.
Thank you. I'll tell them Shayna said it. All right, and finally, dude, Paige the wrestler is one of the biggest female figures in WWE history now, and she has been immortalized in Fighting with My Family.
I love that there's like a WWE life movie now.
Well, why do you say it like that? There have been several with like some really interesting stories.
When did we do a story about a WWE wrestler, like about their life story? Like, when was there a docudrama about any of
Okay,
them.
docudrama.
Yeah.
You saved yourself for that one word. I'm about to drop like 5
I'm
or
not
6
talking
good ones
about
on you.
like Hulk Hogan's movies that are.
No, I'm talking about the inspiring story of Mick Foley, one dude who was just a wrestling fan who made an entire career and inspired generations. I'm talking Dwayne The Rock Johnson himself. His story from starting off as an
Okay,
athlete,
but
he wanted to be a
did somebody
professional
make a movie about his life?
football player. No one's made a movie
Okay,
about
that's
his
what I'm
life,
saying.
but if you want to talk movies about their life, okay, The Rise and Fall of John Cena, no, not Rise and Fall, but The Rise of John Cena, the story of The Miz, the dude who's currently, like now, was just the guy who started off.
Okay, I'm talking about a Hollywood Productions movie.
Well, okay, see, now you just throwing out random, because I got you and you're just backpedaling.
Because are these
okay, it's
documentaries?
okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not talking about a documentary. I mean like a docudrama,
just
like
Eddie
a
Guerrero.
movie made about them, not a movie made about them, you know?
No, believe it or not, I do know what you're saying. I do know what you're talking about. And this is the first production from Dwayne The Rock Johnson, with him as producer, written by Stephen Merchant. It's
Stephen Merchant?
yeah,
Okay.
it's a fictional story that's based off that's painted like a docudrama because it's the whole thing is just like a story for entertainment, you know. But it's based off of it. It's based off
what
of
wrestling is?
It's based off a 2012 documentary. Wrestling is pre-scripted but not fake.
Well, no.
It's
like,
like
there's
you know who's
some
gonna win, you don't
serious
know.
athleticism involved there. You couldn't do some of the things they do without seriously hurting themselves if they didn't have some athleticism involved.
One thing that was really cool,
But
this movie shows how like that was her upbringing. She was brought up by parents who had been wrestlers.
Oh.
They had been wrestlers and they'd been just degenerates their whole lives, which is cool. And I'm not saying that in a negative term. Let me walk through this door again, I'm getting hit in the back of the head. So many people out to get me tonight. But no, they show like her family, her mother and father and her brother. They were a wrestling family, and they grew up as traveling wrestlers. And she learned the fundamentals and how to actually show that athleticism and fight without drastically injuring the other people. You know, I'm Shayna. We're wrestling. I'm trying to hurt you, but not damage you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I know how to safely hit you, throw you to the ground and stuff. I know how you can safely reverse that, grab my ankle and not break it, but still put me in submission. Stuff like that, important stuff. You know the cues of, okay, this is, there you go. But it's like they went into that too, and I didn't expect them to. I didn't expect them to get into any of the technical aspects because you think a docudrama, you think a story about a sports figure is just going to be, well, we're going to show them, they struggled, they didn't make it, then they did, then they rose to prominence, credits,
Yeah, no, I get it.
or something like Rudy, it's like, no one thought she could be a wrestler, and she was a wrestler and stuff. And
so
the way
essentially the formula.
yeah, it had a lot more care. Now, I do acknowledge that this isn't necessarily for me because I'm a wrestling fan. And I promise you, this has been doing really, really well in the theaters. And it's gotten a lot of good reviews.
It looked
But
fun.
it is fun.
I like people always get on me and think I'm snobbish about movies, which I'm not. I just like movies to be entertaining. You don't have to be good. You have to be entertaining. And it looked entertaining. It looked fun. And I think that was a big thing for me last year with movies. Like, I saw a lot of movies that were fun. And I enjoyed them because they were fun.
Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, if I'm going to pay my money, it's like, gonna sit there and see a movie. Look, let me tell you why you suck.
Like, heck,
You
even
in the
movies-
audience,
Even
third
movies
row
that people
center.
hated last year, I saw and really laughed my behind off. Maybe when I shouldn't have been. Like,
At Selma? You left the Selma? What's going on?
like everybody, well, at least like half the audience hated Last Jedi. I laughed my behind off the whole time. I enjoyed it because it was funny to me. Like
No,
the
hey,
Princess Leia flying through space thing, I thought was the best thing I had ever seen.
That was dumb.
Ever. No,
I have beef
it
with
was-
that for different reasons, though. There are a lot
it
of Star
was
Wars
dumb,
fans that are like, well, there's
but
wrong stuff to do with the lore.
I
and I'm
laughed
just
so
like, no,
hard.
stupid mechanic.
I laughed so hard though.
Because
So
she's
that will
twitching
never be a
there.
bad memory for me. Like, I will always enjoy that scene because as soon as I saw it, I was sitting there watching it with my husband and we died with laughter when she started
but-
flying through the air like Superman.
All right, but you know where that comes from? That comes from folks who aren't attached to the material or the content, and they're just
Star Wars
writing
fan.
stuff. No, I'm not talking about you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ones who write this stuff because they're not attached to it. They don't have any personal involvement.
They may
so
be.
they're just putting stuff in. I'm fairly
I
certain.
can't take it too seriously. I remember the Ewoks.
Nah, we ain't talking about it. Yo, okay, first, the story behind the Ewoks is a cash grab, and that's okay, you know what?
They're Wookiee spelled backwards.
What I'm getting at is Dwayne Johnson being the producer on this means it was made by somebody who understood the ins and outs, not just this as a concept, but yeah, what you go through when you're involved in this world, and a lot of that came through in the story. I like that. And I will acknowledge it's not a perfect movie because it does kind of feel like it just kind of feel like John Hughes writing a wrestling document. I'm serious. I'm not even trying to.
Aren't John Hughes movies heartwarming?
The whole thing is there's a part where she's
except
vying
for
for
St.
acceptance.
Elmo's Fire, that movie is a dumpster fire.
Yes, it is. There's a part where she's like vying for acceptance and she's doing all the stereotypical stuff that I could easily work into like the script of Mean Girls, you know?
So
and
it got a little formulaic.
It got a little bit, and especially towards the end. Like I was loving every aspect of it. Her family.
It's hard to veer away from formulas in movie making.
It is,
really is.
But this is like Stephen Merchant, you know, someone who's proven that yeah, they can create good stuff, and by Dwayne Johnson, who knows.
He's done some weird things too, so I would expect that he would be a little more less conventional. But I get it. Everybody
Your
gotta get a
sin
paycheck.
there was hope.
I know. Everybody gotta get a paycheck, and I'm sure he writes a whole bunch of comedic pieces here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, but you know what? This ended up being a good one because it's a feel-good movie. It's one that you start off just like, okay, I'm kind of gonna see what's going on here. Maybe I didn't watch the documentary. Maybe I did. Maybe I know about Paige. Maybe I just know it from The Ring. You know, and the thing is, if you watch the documentary, that's the serious take, and this is the more entertaining take. Nick Frost is in this bad boy.
I love Nick Frost. That was the first thing I saw in the trailer. I was like, oh shit, it's Nick. It's Nick Frost. I love Nick Frost.
Nick Frost is the man. Y'all might remember him as Nick. Like everything. From Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, Attack the Block.
Yeah, dude, it's good, you know? He's good in this role.
You cannot go wrong in a movie when you add Nick Frost.
Dude, one thing I really love about this movie is they play him as just this impossibly hardcore dude who's now playing the fun dad. So he's got stories of, little kids there, you know. It's like, how did you and your wife meet? Oh, it was a wonderful story, you know. Wrestling really brought us together. Some folks have religion. Wrestling's the thing that brought it, you know. She was on the verge of suicide, and I was just getting out of jail for the 8th time. And then we met one night when she had a knife in her hand, and, you know, she was attacking me for drug money, and I was like, you can't do this. I'm going to take you down. I'm going to hurt you, but I'm trying not to hurt you, you know. And the thing is, we kind of fell in love when I had her in a headlock, and I'm just like, damn, you are playing this way up. Mother played by Lena Headey, by the way. Lena Headey, who I love as well. I do love her, too. And she also played it very well. It's like, yeah, you know, I just broken away from my third pimp, and I was thinking I'd finally end it all. And then I've met this one man who I figured he looks like he has some money. I'm going to take it. And then when he got me in that toehold, it was like love at first sight. And I was like, damn, okay, y'all are really playing it over the top. And then
clearly they were meant to be each other.
But as an end credits, you know, the nice things they do over the like stinger, whatever you want to call it,
mm-hmm.
They actually have interviews with the real parents, and they're like 10 times more hardcore than they were portrayed. I'm like, y'all, that was y'all want them to get down? What? And it was awesome. They're proper hooligans.
I love when people are more like in real life than they are in however they're depicted. I just love when they're just a little more extra.
Oh, so do I.
Like they couldn't even capture all their extraness in a film.
Yeah, no, it was well done, and it's a sympathetic story. It portrays a little more prestige and emotion than you'd expect from stories about a sports star. And I hate saying the word sports now. I feel like it's taken on a negative connotation because so many folks have used the term itself to troll it. You know, it feels like calling something like Star Wars, you know, that nerd stuff, you know. It's like no.
It's sports entertainment.
It is, and I'm not trying to belittle it. What I'm getting at is this movie goes beyond that.
I used to watch stuff like that all the time. Like, there used to be this, like, show, and it was martial arts, but it was like wrestling.
WMAC match. Yes.
I love that
exactly
show.
What you're talking about.
I wish that still came on.
All right, we're starting to run over time, so let me just say the movie is Fighting with My Family. Fighting with My Family. Produced the first production by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for WWE Films, and I was actually really impressed with the acting in this. The story was presented in a way that actually makes you feel. You know, you want to know more about her story, and if you're not a fan, you're just like, you know what, this could be worse. If you are a fan, you're like, I wanted to know everything that goes down here, and it's interesting to know about her family and who almost made it, who didn't make it, and Vince Vaughn doing a bit more than just that goofy comedy role. I really hate him in dramatic stuff. I didn't hate him in this.
I mean,
so I'm surprised. I gotta give it a thumbs up. I'm giving this a thumbs up. And yeah, no, he's not terrible, but he's
made a lot of for money roles.
Well, he's money now.
Oh you got plenty of it.
All right. Well, this has been the Geek Down here on Disrupt Boston. I want to thank you all for joining us for another action-packed, fun-filled show. We got a little real tonight. Hope it wasn't too much for you, but highly recommend you check out Horror Noir on Shudder. Highly recommend you check out the two killings of Sam Cooke on Netflix. And if you're a wrestling fan, I think you'll have a good time with Fighting With My Family. If not, maybe it's one you just want to let go.
Hey, maybe you don't need to be a wrestling fan. Maybe you just like fun movies.
Maybe you just like fun movies. Yes, people get punched in the face.
Yeah, fun movie movement.
Yeah. All right, yo, Shayna, thank you so much for coming out.
No
Always a pleasure. Hopefully, we'll get you back sometime soon. Oh, stop it. You stop it. This has been the Geek Down here on Disrupt Boston. I want to thank you all for watching another awesome episode. We'll throw up the slate right there, but you'll find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're on iTunes, on SoundCloud. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. You can't get rid of us. And if you just want to go and check out what we actually do on the reg, hit us up at geek-down.com. Until next week, same bat time,
Same bat
channel. Be excellent to each other. Peace.